Hello, everyone. Well, it's been a long 1.5 weeks since I last made my last video. It's been a long, almost couple of weeks. And, just can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Canadian truckers have gone on strike. And the Canadian truckers are blockading every single avenue out of Canada to the U.S. Their trucks are just stopped in the middle of these bridges, especially the Ambassador Bridge is completely blocked with semis. And they've done this on purpose to protest. They're protesting these mandatory vaccination orders from Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau has issued mandatory vaccination orders, and apparently it's against the papers. I don't know if they have a constitution in Canada. It's against the Canadian Constitution. It's against their human rights, and they're protesting. Justin Trudeau has responded to these truckers blockading every single avenue out of Canada very harshly. Very harshly. He sent police in to take away their canisters of gas so that they'll be forced to leave the road. Or they can't even drive away because they're taking all their gasoline, so now they're stuck. The police have compounded the problem by taking their gas. Now they're stuck and they can't go anywhere, but they're in it for the long haul. Some of them will die of exposure to the cold because they can't run their cabs and their trucks. They can't heat themselves or stay warm because they're running out of gas. So now the problem is compounded even more. Dead truckers, no gas, police stealing gas cans and confiscating every gas can in town. Compounds the problem because now they can't drive away even if they wanted to because they have no gasoline. So, Justin Trudeau, idiot number one, idiot in chief. We love Canadian truckers, and we love all our truckers. They're going to stage something similar here in the U.S. pretty soon. It's U.S. truckers are going to blockade certain major highways in and out of town, probably in and out of Washington. And they're protesting the vaccine mandates. That's what they're protesting. They're objecting to vaccine mandates. See, Biden, I told you it was coming. Told you vaccine mandates were coming, and that they wouldn't allow anyone to work or earn money unless they had a vaccine mandate, or vaccinated. And that's exactly what Biden did. He wanted all businesses in the U.S. to require their employees to be fully vaccinated, or else they couldn't work. And they would go hungry and have no food on the tables. They would starve without a vaccine. But this is against basic human rights. It's against the rights guaranteed to Americans under the Constitution. And truckers, of all people, are the ones that are fighting back, at least in Canada. So we love our truckers. Honk if you love truckers. There was a guy that honked when he saw the truckers. And he was an old man. The police arrested him. They pulled him over. They dragged him out of his car by both arms. They dragged him out of his car, and they zip tied him or put handcuffs on him and led him away. They actually did this. They beat up an old man They dragged him out of his car and handcuffed him and led him away. Just for honking. Just for honking. Isn't honking a form of freedom of speech? I think so. But they don't allow freedom of speech in Justin Trudeau's Canada. Not in our Canada. Justin Trudeau, Biden cut from the same cloth. They don't believe in freedom of speech. They don't believe in freedom of peaceful assembly. They don't believe in anything. They don't believe in any of it. They're communists. That's what they are. They've shifted over all the way to the left. They're communists now. And they say that when you move far enough left that you're far right. Far left and far right join at some point. And that point is a totalitarian, authoritarian, fascist state. Yes, fascists are liberals. You may say, well, they share values with the conservatives, but they're liberals. So, not good. It's not good at all. It's not good the way this direction this country is moving in. The direction this country is headed in is not good. And the truckers are fighting back, but who knows how long the truckers will last and how long their protest will last. Trump has called for the largest protest this country has ever seen on his own behalf. But what really the protests that are coming should be issue-based. They should be based on the issues. What issues do we care about? We care about riots in our inner cities. We care about the damage that the riots caused. We care about vaccine mandates, mask mandates. We care about the lockdowns and the shutdowns. All of those things played a role in destroying the small businesses in America. The small businesses of America have been totally devastated by this. They've all got a negative balance sheet for the year, and while Wall Street is riding high, small businesses are suffering in private. And this was all Biden's doing. Biden planned this. It was a plot for him to get into office because people are so dissatisfied with Trump because of the riots and thinking that he inspired the riots, which he did not. Then, Trump didn't cause the riots. The riots weren't because Trump was in office, or so BLM would like to claim, but BLM was around even before Trump, before Trump came into office. So Trump didn't cause the riots. Okay, it was a bad actor in the police department that caused the riots. Now, you know what they're saying now. Now they're saying, in the case of Amir Locke, they're saying that even if he draws his gun on you, you don't have the right to shoot back if you're a cop. Even if they draw their gun on you and they're about to shoot, you don't have the right to shoot back. You have to say, drop your weapon, as if that's going to stop them if you say drop your weapon. He was surprised. He was startled. Now they're saying they're not going to allow, they're going to criminally prosecute and they gave it over to Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison gets to decide whether it moves on to trial. These officers that were involved in a no-knock warrant. And they they didn't knock, but they announced themselves. They said, police surrender, and it's the police. They said that when they came in. They had a key, and it was a no-knock warrant. Guess who issued that no-knock warrant? Guess who issued the no-knock warrant? It was the same people, the same judge that tried the Derek Chauvin trial. It was the same judge who tried Derek Chauvin. He issued the no-knock warrant. Trying to drum up business for himself, right? Trying to drum up business for himself and nobody else. Because now that he issued the no-knock warrant and sent the police into harm's way, now he gets to try them and persecute them and judge them and send them to a federal prison just for doing their jobs. And that's the direction we're headed in, folks. It's the elites making the rules, judging the less fortunate. In this case, the less fortunate are the cops trying to do their jobs and just trying to stay alive another day. Just trying to stay alive another day. If they act in self-defense, if they act in self-defense in a house that they have entered and they want to use deadly force, they're going to be tried and persecuted just for doing their jobs. Just for doing their jobs. That man, Amir Locke, had a gun in his hand. If they had stopped and said, drop your weapon, we would be hearing about a dead cop. That's what we would be hearing about. We would be hearing about a dead cop. It's that simple. Gun in hand, please shoot back. Now they're being persecuted and prosecuted for doing their jobs. But we love these Canadian truckers. To get back to the Canadian truckers, we love them. But the guy that honked his horn got arrested by the police who overstepped their bounds in Canada. Canadian cop arrested a man just for honking his horn. When he saw the truckers, he honked his horn, pulled him over, and I think they said, when he asked what are they being pulled, what is he being arrested for being a jackass. That was they're so angry, those cops in Canada. They're so angry. And I guess they have reason to be angry since there's calls for defunding the police here in America, but you wouldn't think a Canadian cop would act like that, but they did. So, no freedom of expression at all, not even honking your car horn. You're not even allowed to honk your car horn when you see truckers, Canadian truckers protesting. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You're not allowed to express yourself. Not in Justin Trudeau's Canada. And he's cracking down on these truckers. He's ordered the cops to take their gas cans and take any means that they had to heat themselves. They took away all the wood. They took all the wood away that they were using for a bonfire so that they could warm themselves. They're just going to let them perish right where they're at, or else abandon their vehicles to whatever fate. We don't know what fate their vehicles will be abandoned for. It's not likely that a tow truck will be able to take those trucks away. So all trade between Canada and America, except by air, has been blocked. And pretty soon, certain American cities will be blocked too by the truckers. They'll block traffic in and out of our major cities in protest of the vaccine mandate. Now, the vaccine mandate went south. They declared it unconstitutional, and that was a win for our side. The right to choose whether to get vaccinated or not. The right to choose not to put a vaccine in your body if you don't want to. That's a human right, a basic human right, right? You have a right not to be injected, not to be shot up with a needle if you don't want to be, or if you've had adverse reactions to vaccines before. Should be a basic human right, but Biden was trying to take that away. He lost. He lost that fight. But the battle is still raging in Canada. They're still trying to mandate all truck drivers to get the vaccine. So, I wouldn't recommend honking if you love truckers because you'll probably get arrested if you're in Canada. But here in America, you're allowed to honk because that's freedom of expression. And so, also moving on to the subject of Bob Saget. Bob Saget, it took them a whole month to release the autopsy report. And it turns out he was bashed on the head. Now they're claiming that it was an accident, that he slipped and fell and banged his head. Do you know the back of his head was all crushed in? There were bone fragments. The whole skull had been crushed. And the orbitals around the eye were shattered. And they said that that was an accident. That's one heck of an accident. He would have had to bang his head, fall forward, and bang his face against the floor. Because that's the only thing that would have shattered the orbitals around his eye is a fall face first on the floor. It's much more likely. You can't fall two directions at once. Okay, you can't fall backwards and then fall forwards. You can't do that. It's much more likely that someone bashed him on the back of the head and then he fell flat on his face. That would have done it. That would have done it. And then they claim that once he accidentally fell and shattered his skull in several places, both front and back, that he got up, didn't know what time it was, went to bed, fell asleep, and bled to death. That's what they claim. That's what they claim, that was a brain bleed and that he went to bed thinking nothing of it. Are you serious? You shatter, the whole back of your skull is shattered and your orbitals are shattered and on your face, and you think nothing of it and go back to bed? I don't think so. I don't think he would have walked away from that. I don't think he would have walked away from that. Somebody arranged him in that bed pretending that he was asleep. And why did it take a whole month? Well, check out the links in the description. The numerologists have an idea of what is going on, and yeah, it's very likely that he was murdered. Very, very likely that he was murdered. Almost zero chance that he wasn't murdered because of the way his head was bashed. Why would they immediately assume? And they are assuming, it is a big assumption, that he hit his head accidentally. How can they prove that? Do they have any evidence that he accidentally hit his head and then went to bed? That's just a hypothesis. That's not a fact. That's not a theory. It's a hypothesis. And if you don't know the difference between a theory and a hypothesis, I suggest you look it up. It's a hypothesis that he hit his head. They don't know for certain that he hit his head accidentally and that he was able to get up after such traumatic injuries and get into bed and fall asleep. They don't know that. They don't know that. They're just saying that. And just stay alert, stay awake, see what they do to the celebrities and why they do them. Why they do them to the celebrities. They're sacrificial lambs because nobody wants to admit that a celebrity may have been murdered. Nobody wants to admit that it was deliberate. The numerology may prove them wrong. Because these guys like to leave their calling card, right? They like to leave a calling card, and one of their calling cards is numerology, the numbers. It's a numbers game. So that's it. I don't know. I don't know. It's world's getting to be a crazier place day by day, and um, very few people would stand up to Justin Trudeau and tell him that they won't be vaccinated for his sake or anybody's sake. But the truckers did it, and now the truckers are in trouble. They diverted the funds that were meant for the truckers. They diverted the GoFundMe funds, and we're going to steal the funds and give them to the charity of GoFundMe's choice. Now GoFundMe is under pressure, and so when they were under pressure, they said they would just give the people a refund that made the donations, that they would grant all donors a full refund. But that was pretty lousy of them to try to divert the funds and give them to a charity of their choice. That isn't right. That isn't right. Those funds were for the truckers. If the truckers aren't getting the funds, then they should get it. Those people should get a refund. And it's a crazy world we're living in, folks. It just gets crazier and crazier every day. And I'll see you next time.